Hello, everybody. This is Louise Eddington, Cosmic Owl of Cosmic Owl Astrology. And today I am bringing you an overview of a presentation I have given to a couple of orgs out there, well, quite a few actually. And it's on Ceres, Ceres, the Great Mother Archetype. And I'm going to record this presentation, and then I'm going to create a playlist called Ceres and or maybe on asteroids. I don't know. Look at the playlist on this and follow the playlist, because after this I'm going to do a series of videos on Ceres. Try and say that fast. Series on Ceres. And I'm going to look at all the signs through all the houses, but this is going to be the first one. This is going to be an overview. So I'm going to share some slides on this one. So you might want to watch this one first to get a feel for Ceres. So here we go. I'm going to be sharing my slides and talking to you about Ceres. Here we go. So here's me. If you don't know me already, astrologer and author of 3 books now. Actually, I need to edit that. My second one, The Complete Guide to Astrology, down there, was the best-selling on Amazon, but they've all done well. I'm British by birth, just if you can't tell. I'm a US citizen living in Salt Lake City, Utah. I came here via Australia. I've been practicing astrology since 1989 and practicing professionally since 2012. Married for 25 years and mother of 2 wonderful adult daughters. Now I'm starting with Ceres because my Ceres is conjunct my ascendant. She is my second most angular planet. Venus is my most angular planet, and that's why I call my membership community the Venus Enchantment Community. So there you can see where Ceres is in my chart. So she speaks to me greatly, which is why I've been doing a lot of research on her, and I'm going to continue to do so. So I'm going to invite you in the comments to give me your thoughts on Ceres as I talk. I think we can work together to really get to know Ceres better, and you'll find out why I think she's so important through this presentation. So this is Ceres. I love this picture. Messy, messy blood and birth with a crown. And this is who I think she is. I think she is helping us to birth the new paradigm. Okay. So I love starting with this quote. Patriarchy is best understood as the 5,000-year birth canal of the great mother goddess. And funnily enough, Richard Tarnas said this quote at the Cycles and Symbols 3 conference in San Francisco sometime between February the 14th and February the 16th, 1997. And that date is kind of relevant, as you will see moving forward. So on this conference, I estimated that Tarnas said this quote on Friday the 14th, 1997, Valentine's Day at 6:16 p.m. And the reason why I think that he said this on this point is that Ceres, this is the Ceres symbol, by the way. She's like a bit of a question mark with a cross. So it's the cross of matter with a question mark symbol at the top, was at 6 degrees 43 Aquarius. And this is actually the point where Chariklo, the centaur, one of the new starry messengers coming in from way, way out there, was discovered. I think he said this as Chariklo, who is the grace spinner and the weaver of new stories and the teller of new stories. She was discovered with this most beautiful chart, discovery chart, and Ceres was opposite her. And Chariklo is here now as I record this. You can't make this stuff up. I kind of think that the centaurs, which are Chiron, Chariklo, Pholus, Nessus, there's a whole lot more, but they're the main ones, as they were discovered and brought into our awareness. But I don't want to harp on about that too much, because I've done interviews on this channel with my friend Shelley Entine about Chariclo. I talked to Melanie Reinhardt as well. You can search for them under Tea with Louise, my interviews. But anyway, let's talk about Ceres. Ceres was discovered in 1801 by Giuseppe Piazzi and numbered asteroid number 1. She was actually discovered January the 1st, 1801. Ceres is large. She constitutes 25%, a whole quarter of the asteroid belt, and the asteroid belt lies between Mars and Jupiter. Ceres is the only dwarf planet inside Neptune's orbit. Now, she has been reclassified as a dwarf planet, as you can see, after the discovery of dwarf planet Eris, the shit stirrer, in 2005. Ceres was reclassified to dwarf planet status, and Pluto was reclassified to the same status. Ceres' orbit is about 4.6 years, 1,680 Earth days to be precise. And in my opinion, Ceres is therefore the first known dwarf planet, but she's been hiding in plain sight since her discovery as an asteroid since 1801, and suddenly came into her own fairly recently in 2005. Ceres the goddess. Let's look at the mythology a little bit. Ceres was the Roman goddess of agriculture, grain, and the love a mother bears for her child. She's the daughter of Saturn and Ops, the sister of Jupiter, the mother of Persephone, which is the Greek equivalent of Demeter Persephone story. Ceres was thought to be benevolent and kind, worshipped for the gift of the harvest as a reward for cultivation of the land. She was credited with teaching humans how to grow, preserve, and prepare the grain. And the word cereal comes from Ceres, and her name is from the root ker, to grow. So take all of this in. This is Ceres we're talking about here. She's responsible for fertility of the land. She was goddess of the plebeians, which is the common people. But she was an extremely important goddess. She was one of the dei consentes, which was the 12 major deities. There were 6 gods, 6 goddesses in the pantheon of ancient Rome. So looking at Ceres the goddess a bit more, the dei consentes again, also known as D or dei consentes, once dei complices, is an ancient list of 12 major deities. There was, as I said, 6 gods and 6 goddesses in the pantheon of ancient Rome. Their gilt statues stood in the Roman Forum and later apparently in the Porticus Deorum Consentium. The gods were listed by the poet Ennius in the late 3rd century BCE in a paraphrase of an unknown Greek poet. So there was Juno, Vesta, Minerva, Ceres, Diana, and Venus in the feminine side and the goddess side. And on the god side, there was Mars, Mercurius or Mercury, Jovis or Jupiter, Neptunus, Vulcanus, and Apollo. And Livy, the Roman historian, arranged them into 6 male-female pairs, which you can see here. There was Jupiter and Juno, and Neptune and Minerva, Mars and Venus, Apollo and Diana, Vulcan and Vesta, and Mercury and Ceres. And that's from Wikipedia. So let's look at some of the themes and the myth again of Ceres. So she's associated with grief and loss. Ceres' daughter Persephone was either kidnapped by or ran off with Pluto, the lord of the underworld, after her brother Jupiter gave Pluto permission for Pluto to marry Persephone. Ceres was stricken with grief and loss at the loss of her daughter, with whom she had a rather smother-mother relationship. And Ceres can be quite the smother-mother energy, right? So she wanted to keep her daughter innocent and she disguised herself as an old woman to live amongst the common people. In her grief, she stopped all crops from growing, which caused a famine. Nothing consoled her for the loss of her child. In this respect, she is a destroyer goddess. Jupiter eventually realized that Persephone had to be returned to her mother. But he found out that Persephone had already eaten the pomegranate seeds, which is an allegory for losing virginity or innocence, and she could never return to the world above permanently. Persephone was allowed, there was a deal struck. Okay. Persephone was allowed to return to her mother every spring, but had to return to the underworld every autumn and fall to her husband, Pluto or Hades. So this story is used to tell the story of the turning of the seasons of nature, including the cycles of life, death, and rebirth of all things: nature, crops, us, animals, everything. So Ceres is very much about living in alignment with all cycles. So in astrology, here's some of the associations of Ceres in astrology. She's deep mother love in both its healthy and unhealthy helicopter mother forms, grief and loss, how we nurture or nourish ourselves and others, attachment, dependency, separation and rejection, work and productivity, fertility and the cycles of birth and death, the land, ecology, cultivation and the harvest, organic gardeners, farming, food supply, restaurants, food workers, organic gardeners and gardens, alignment or misalignment of cycles of nature, seasons, cycles of life, animal care and farming, labor, unions, unemployment, and how funny I'm recording this on the day that there's a big rail union strike threatened in the USA, and some deals trying to be struck there as well. So, and unions are on the rise as I record this on November the 30th, 2022. I'm also seeing that this possibility she's related to our immune systems when affected by poor nutrition and just poor living, our survival needs and food shortages. So she's been very up in our face recently. Demetra George, the amazing Demetra George, says that Ceres is about adaptation and survival of the species. So Ceres was discovered back on January the 1st, 1801 at 8:43 p.m. in Palermo, Sicily, Italy. And she was discovered at 23 degrees, 23 minutes of Taurus in an almost exact square to Saturn. And I'm going to say that that Saturn square to Ceres was kind of blocking her from our discovery for quite some time, but she's coming into her own now. There's a couple of other things I will talk about when I do this, but you know, she was born with a Leo rising ascendant. Oh gosh, at 29 Leo, and we had the Great American Eclipse right on that point in 2017. So, you know, if you think about the themes of Ceres that are coming to light more and more, maybe not only Eris's discovery and her reclassification, but also maybe the Great American Eclipse has brought her into our awareness more. We've definitely got a lot going on in the USA, and I'm sorry to be so USA centric, but she is very relevant here because unions are coming back into being. We've become aware of the food cycle. We've become aware of how we as a species need to adapt to survive. We've had the North Node in Taurus pulling us to that. So it does affect everybody, but all these themes are very much up generally. And we also had Moon versus Eris down here. Eris at 29 Capricorn, the Moon at 29 Cancer. The 29th degree is an anaretic degree, and it's a point of critical point of signs of we're moving into something new from the 29th degree. We're kind of in this no man's land in the middle, in Eris in Capricorn, moving out of the old structures into the new, but it's taking an awful long time. Okay. Now, the moon is the people generally, and the moon was in Cancer, and the Cancer Capricorn axis is the axis of birth to death, cycles of life. So we can see that happening here. Other things that I notice are that the North Node was at 13 degrees Aries. As I record this on November the 30th, 2022, the nodes are at 13 degrees of Taurus and Scorpio and have been through the eclipses. And the nodes are going to move into Aries and Libra, backwards into Aries and Libra in 2023. And Ceres is going to have a nodal return, another nodal return. She's had a few. But remember I said that Ceres was opposing Chariklo when Chariklo was discovered? Here is Chariklo in the Ceres discovery chart. Chariklo is at 12 degrees Gemini and conjunct Juno, the partnership asteroid. I think the whole chart of this, there's more I could say, but the Ceres discovery chart is really one of reminding us to bring in a new story. And she's been quietly working in the background, in my opinion, since her discovery in 1801. And we'll talk more about that, about what she means collectively. And then remember, I'm going to do individual videos so you can look at your own series too. So, but I want to talk about this 23. She was discovered 23 in Taurus. Venus ruled Taurus, which is the most materialistic of signs in the respect of it's about everything physical. Okay, it's about our bodies, it's about nature, it's about, you know, all the manifest world, including money and everything you can touch or see, feel, hear, touch, all the senses. So, but the Discordianists believe 23 is holy and associated with Eris. I've been looking at the number 23 for quite some time because we've had Eris at 23 degrees on and off for the last 3-4 years, okay, because she moves very slowly. There were 23 Grand Masters who composed the Knights Templar, 23 pairs of chromosomes in human beings. The normal physical biorhythm for human beings is 23 days. The number is known as a portal for chaos magic. The number of articulations in the human arm is 23, and we have 23 digits, 10 fingers, 10 toes, 2 ears, and a nose. There's 23 axioms in geometry of Euclid. The circulation of blood through the human body takes 23 seconds. And as I said, Taurus is matter, the physical nature, our bodies. Are we being changed physically over time? Taurus is Venus ruled, and in many ways, Venus could be said to represent Persephone, as mythical motifs have similar journeys. Now, as I said, Eris' discovery in 2005 caused the reclassification of Ceres as the only dwarf planet in the asteroid belt, the bridge between the personal and transpersonal planets. Eris is discord, and she certainly has been shaking things up. And if you think about what's been going on really in our world since 2005, well, I don't know about you, but I've moved 3 continents, several houses, but more importantly, I've become more and more aware of ecology and being out of alignment with nature and cycles. Really, before that time, I was vaguely aware. I wasn't recycling. There wasn't, you know, all this has come more and more into our awareness since that time. So I think all of us have probably reached that point. Now I want to talk a little bit about where Ceres is and why I think she's actually a personal planet. So here we have the sun, which is the center of our universe. The traditional personal planets are Mercury, Venus, and Mars, and the moon, all inside the asteroid belt. After that, we get to the transpersonal planets, Jupiter and Saturn, taking us out to the world. Saturn was the out to the world, the cosmos, further out and out and out to the Kuiper belt. you know, Eris is out here in the Kuiper Belt. She brought Ceres in, but look where Ceres is. She is actually just inside the asteroid belt, even though she's been said she's in the asteroid belt. She's actually just inside, and she's not visible with the naked eye. I think she's been hiding in plain sight all this time as this mother archetype or great mother archetype that has been missing in our collective consciousness, how we nourish and nurture each other. And we're being called to do that more and more since she's come into our awareness. Okay. Now, I mentioned the great American eclipse. So since 2017, all these, and Eris was at 23 degrees, as I mentioned. So where is she in that? I don't think she, oh, there she is. She's over there. I didn't highlight her. But Ceres, on the great American eclipse, Ceres was conjunct Venus, Persephone, mother, daughter, and they were opposing Pluto. Ceres was opposing Pluto. We've been pulled more and more and more to move into alignment, to move into, you know, there's more talk of populist and moving back into people power and so on and so forth. You can see it happening everywhere. I don't have to kind of tell you what's been going on in the world, but you can see it. And this eclipse was conjunct the degree of the discovery degree of ascendant on her chart. Now, on January the 12th, 2020, Ceres was involved in the great conjunction with Saturn and Pluto at 22 degrees Capricorn. Mercury, her partner in crime, was also there, but he was at 23 degrees, the messenger of the gods. And if you think about going back to where I showed you where the planets were, Mercury is the closest to the center of our solar system. And then Ceres is the furthest out before the asteroid belt. And Eris, the discordant one, was square to Eris. And this started the pandemic, really, and started even more chaos that we've had. So we've kind of had this chaos building and building and building since Eris's discovery. And also, I'm going to say since 1997, really, since Chariklo was discovered. We've had a 25-year cycle of things really starting to fall apart since the late 90s. So, major themes brought to light. Ceres, Pluto, the mother and her daughter's abductor husband cycle bring to light how out of alignment we are. The attachment to safety, Big Daddy, Saturn and Capricorn, nurtures us and makes us secure. But now it no longer makes us secure, no longer feel nurtured. This is the major themes of that conjunction on January the 12th, 2020. Nurturing ourselves, what we take in literally, food, and metaphorically, the rules of our institutions, immune systems, and our poor diet has come into major focus. You know, we can see how it's been brought up with major fights about, you know, no, we don't want the vaccine, our immune systems all work. And then our immune systems are poor because our food supply is poor. Anyway, you get the idea. How we treat our food and what nurtures the earth and humanity. Breakdown of thinking our government and institutions care for us and the resulting grief of what have we done. Realizing the system doesn't nurture the common man, the people. Recognition that major change is needed. Pluto excavated the failures in the system of unfettered capitalism while he's been going through Capricorn since 2008, right after he was reclassified too. Factory farming, no social net, grief and loss for the life we had. You know, people keep going, there's no normal anymore, people, you know, and some people are trying to get back to normal. And but this is an opportunity to really look at our lives. Dates and themes in this cycle. I'm not going to go over these. I'm going to let you there's going to be a transcript for this. You can screenshot the slides if you want to look at all of these. But here are some of the major dates that we've had since that big conjunction, since the pandemic was kind of really kicking off. So you can see, though, without giving you the dates, all our perceptions are changing. Unemployment was high. Food supply is still threatened. The plebeians suffering the most. More talk of the need. Ceres is our needs for social safety nets. Neighborhood resiliency initiatives have grown. Food gardens, some wanting to go back to normal, many acknowledging the need for systemic change, cleaner air and less noise pollution under lockdowns. That I remember that quiet when we first had the lockdowns. Not that we were ever really locked down as such, but restaurants had to close and things. But not in this country anyway. I know you were in some countries. But it was so quiet. The air was clean. I live in a city where we have terrible air. Everything was peaceful and clean and quiet. I kind of like that part of it, actually. So it brought all this to our attention to re-examine our values and our worth. Then there's some, I'm actually going to skip over these because I do want to talk more about bridging the worlds. Okay. So Venus, the planet Venus is the planet Earth, is to the planet Earth what the higher self is to the personality. And most of you that follow me know that I work with Venus. My community is called the Venus Enchantment Community, my membership community. I always do a Venus retrograde class every Venus. So I work with both these energies. And in shamanic work, Venus would be the upper world, generally thought to be the domain of our destiny and spirit, higher spiritual seeking and potential and possibilities, the desire for spiritual growth, our higher self. Ceres inhabits the middle world, the hidden reality of the world we live in, where one can speak to the nature spirits of rocks, trees, plants, wind, fire, earth, and air. The middle world is a bridge between the upper and lower, and that brings the healing and growth from the upper and lower worlds to Earth, to the manifest world. Without the bridge, we can't heal. This is the body of all. Pluto inhabits the lower world, the place of the soul, the past, beneath the surface of the earth. You could say that our shadow work is done in the underworld. Soul retrieval after soul loss from trauma is conducted here. The unconscious psychological wounds, snake energy, the soul desire to heal and accept our humanity. And this is where the shamanic work that I do comes in. Incidentally, I will be doing a presentation on this for the Cosmic Intelligence Agency next year for using shamanic work with astrology. I use shamanic work with my membership, and I use it in my classes like the Venus retrograde. It's really helpful to tune into these energies, but this is my opinion on these three planets working together. Here's a hymn to Ceres that you can also screenshot or go back and freeze and read if you want. I'm not going to read it, just to give you a real feeling for Ceres. And these are symbols associated with Ceres, poppy and the snake, symbols of death, transformation, and remembrance. The poppy also representing the use of psychedelics or opiates for the ritual of the Mundus Cereris, which was the womb or labyrinthine passage to the underworld, which was the domain of Ceres. She took us into the underworld. She was a guide to find the underworld. She didn't live in it, but she was a guide to finding the underworld in ourselves. I am going to quickly show you this one though, where I think we've got a lot of hope coming for out of this chaos. If you think about it, Ceres was discovered on January 1st, 1801, right in the middle of the Industrial Revolution. And since the Industrial Revolution, we have just about wrecked our home, our Earth. The internal combustion engine and so on has polluted this earth. I'm not suggesting we go back to having no engines and things, but I'm kind of really hopeful with Ceres being promoted now, and that we are learning about her and feeling her energy within ourselves, that we are going to reach this resolution and that new energy sources are going to be discovered. Maybe it's going to be the hydrogen engine, or maybe it's going to be nuclear fusion when that comes in, that we are going to have limitless clean energy, and we are going to stop killing the earth that we live on. And there's more of a drive back to sustainable farming. You can see it's starting to happen. Nuclear fusion is said to only be 20, 30 years away. I've read very hopeful things about climate change recently, that they're saying that the rate of climate change is actually slowing down more than they expected, so on and so forth. But I've been looking at this date for ages, and suddenly it seems that we're getting there. We're only 2 years away from this now. I've been talking about this for quite some time, but we had a Jupiter-Saturn conjunction on December the 21st, 2020, which was said to be the great, not only a great conjunction, which we have every 20 years of Jupiter and Saturn, but it was a great mutation into a 200-year age of air. We've also had a new Venus star point in Libra, which was on October the 22nd of 2022, which was taking us into air. Libra is also an air sign. We're moving into air more and more and more. Many ways, too many ways to mention. But I do want to mention, and air is ideas and renaissance and innovation. That's the word I was thinking of. And here, look at this, on December the 7th, 2024, almost exactly 2 years from me recording this, we have at 0 Aquarius, we have Ceres, Pluto, and Venus. And what did I just talk about them being? The worlds, okay? The shamanic worlds, we have them integrating together at this 0 degree of Aquarius as we move into the age of Aquarius. What's opposing it? Mars is at 6 Leo, opposing the point where Ceres was when Chariklo was discovered. Chariklo is weaving a new story. She is helping us to spin grace in our lives. I'm so hopeful for this. So my conclusion, really, and I have more work to do on this, but I really feel like Ceres is needed out here. So I'm going to move my video. Ceres is giving us the opportunity to return to a more nurturing society, and one that is more council-led, like the Dei Consentes, bringing everything back into alignment from the top-down patriarchy to balance. A return to local community and organic nurturing of the land. Permaculture is a huge thing right now. An opportunity to care for ourselves, the earth, and each other physically and socially. An opportunity to grieve the losses and forgive ourselves and to create real change. It's my opinion that the next few years are crucial to preserve the Great Mother that ultimately nurtures us and to create a whole new way of being. The conjunction of Venus, Pluto, and Ceres is a potential point of reconciliation and healing. Interestingly, Ceres is said to have gone to Eleusia, and the Eleusian mysteries using psychedelics for direct connection with spirit were part of those mysteries. The healing potential of psychedelics and fungi are now being discovered. Marijuana is being legalized in many places. In some places now you can buy like THC gummies for sleep and to help with pain and things like that. I myself promote direct revelation with the planets through shamanic journey work, which helps us to understand the energies. So I kind of feel like you don't need the psychedelics. Shamanic work also does the same thing. COVID and the political unrest is a wake-up call no matter how it started, and it's bringing our awareness to how we nurture and nourish our bodies, ourselves, the earth and society. Other things that are happening, major earth events, hurricanes, drought, earthquakes, etc. are getting bigger. Ceres has come out of the shadows and is building a bridge to the expanding known universe. The new dwarf planets are, I suspect, going to bring us the opportunities and answers to create the new paradigm. But will we answer the call? I suggest that Ceres is a bridge between the old paradigm and the new and our expanding universe. And what we do with that is up to us. You know, she was discovered in the industrial age when children were being sent up chimneys to clean them in the UK, at least anyway, and in old Victorian Britain. And you know, this is when we lost the family. Things started to separate. We lost that kind of connection and closeness. I'm not suggesting we can go back to how it was, but I am suggesting we can come back to it in a very new way, an innovative way in Aquarius. Oh, I had a couple of extra thoughts. I thought, no, maybe I took, oh, yes. My side note, my couple of extra thoughts. Pluto was at and around 26 Cancer, opposing the current position of Pluto as I wrote these slides, and he's at 26 degrees now, and I'm recording this in 465 AD when Rome fell. Like now, this was, of course, an event that happened over time. Ceres was in opposition to Pluto in February 464 as Rome declined. However, whilst I think empires, especially the US empire, are collapsing in some way, this current collapse is far-reaching and about more than that. It's about the collapse of just the way we've been doing things for many, many years, centuries, in fact. But when Rome fell, Ceres wasn't discovered. Neither were any of the other outer planets and dwarf planets, and they're all playing their part now in our current crisis, especially Ceres, Eris, and Haumea, who just moved into Scorpio as I record this, and she is the planet of birth and creation. And of course, Pluto was not discovered and has changed classification. So all of these are starry messengers, but I just think that Ceres is the bridge. Ceres was also conjunct Pluto just before the last of the 7 Uranus-Pluto squares on March the 16th, 2015. So she's an extremely important planet and must be recognized as such. So where Ceres is in your natal chart may give you an idea of your part in the potential healing of our planet and how we live. But as I said, that's for another day. I will be creating them. I'm going to go through each sign and where they are in the houses in those signs. It's going to be quite an undertaking. I'm going to do them free because I want you to have them. I think it's important information to have out there. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel to get notified when they're uploaded. The actual series itself may not get started till the new year because I've got an awful lot to do in December. But just to give you a hint of what this is like, where we started at the beginning of the slides, my Ceres is in my first house in Capricorn. Capricorn is structure, the expert, the master. It's in my first house on my ascendant, saying this is the face I have to put out to the world. I have to tell you and my things I have learned about Ceres and put them out in the world. That's my opinion from my charts. Here's where you can find where else you can find me if you're not already following me everywhere. You're here on YouTube, so please subscribe. Please give me a thumbs up. Please share the video if you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Ceres. I'd love to brainstorm. Is there anything else you could tell me about Ceres. You know, do you have any opinions? Has your brain been sparked with ideas? I think Ceres is helping us to birth this new paradigm, which was why I had that really bloody messy picture at the start. And what are your thoughts on that? Do give me your opinions in the comments below. And thank you for listening. And I hope you're going to enjoy this series on Ceres, which is hilarious to me, saying series on series. But anyway, for now, bye.